mother had me out of wedlock. She ended up deciding to keep me despite coming from a very religious family, and there was quite a bit of controversy when I was born. To this day, there are members of my step family and adopted family and my birth family who really struggle with the nature of how I was brought into the world. And the Greens believe that one of the best ways that we can support dignity of life and non-violence is by making sure that people in my mother's situation are properly cared for. And so I really feel that pushing a guaranteed livable income is key. It's really upsetting to me as someone who grew up in extreme poverty in a single parent household, and now through no small amount of effort to remain married to my ex-husband, but he unfortunately did bring another partner into the situation, and so I was forced to be a single mother. But I certainly think that making sure that people have the supports they need is really, really key. When I was going to a Catholic high school, one of the big things that I always saw as such a glaring inequity is that how is it that, when people are telling Catholics, if you want to push these kinds of policies, then you need to financially support everyone. I think that we need to vote in policies that would make sure that people are looked after with dignity. We need to see a $2,000 a month, just like the CERB that the federal government decided was the base amount to live. This would allow people to know that they could be caregivers, that they could look after everyone as needed. Right now, $1,200 a month is what most people on assistance or injury protection seniors are actually receiving, and that amounts to $40 a day. I challenge anyone at all to try to live off that, because my mother did my entire life, and it's impossible.
Thank you.
Sorry, these are very emotional issues for me.
Okay, we're going to go to the second set of questions. Stewardship of creation. As Catholics, we believe that humanity's relationship with creation and the creatures of the earth requires the exercise of responsibility. It is not a freedom of arbitrary and selfish exploitation. Pope Francis has been clear that the sinful exploitation of our natural world and resulting ecological crises, like climate change, threaten the existence of the human family. Living our vocation to be protectors of God's handiwork is essential to a life of virtue, says Pope Francis. It is not an optional or secondary aspect of our Christian experience. This is why Catholics are deeply engaged in the work of building more sustainable communities. How does your political party propose to achieve an ecologically sustainable future for Saskatchewan to protect the God-given dignity of coming generations and our fellow children of God around the world?
I have dedicated every living, breathing moment of my life to ecological wisdom and sustainability. Before becoming the leader of the Saskatchewan Green Party, I have protested on the steps of the legislature numerous times a week. I've been involved with climate justice actions and helping with environmental groups literally my entire life. To me, the respect for sustainability and diversity speaks to the heart of what we are as human beings. We're caretakers on this earth, and it's something that I feel that many people have forgotten. We have a responsibility to all the creatures that share this planet with us and the planet itself. I am absolutely dedicated to ensuring that I am a strong voice in the legislature every single day, just like Elizabeth May was federally. Right now we don't have any Greens elected on the prairies, but upon election, I intend to make sure that every single day I am pushing for 60% carbon reductions in our atmosphere within 4 years. I want to see a solar panel on every roof in this province. I intend to push for 100% renewable energy within 10 years. This is what all the leading scientists say is needed in order to hold our beautiful planet that we all hold dear to 1.5 degrees. The other parties don't have set target limits on carbon emissions, and the Greens really want to follow the Paris Accord agreements and make sure that we reach those set target limits, because that's what it's going to take to protect biodiversity. If we don't protect biodiversity, we're losing literally thousands of species every single day upon this planet. And again, as caretakers of the earth, we are failing if we allow that to keep happening. Our prairie ecosystem is unique on this planet. A lot of people don't realize, because they kind of look out at the natural prairies and say, where is the beauty in that? But I would say, in the words of Trevor Harriott, that our prairie ecosystem is one of the most precious biodiversity spots on Earth.
Thank you. Community and the common good. Catholic thinking on community and the common good is rooted in the principle of subsidiarity and participation. Caritas Canada says, subsidiarity holds that the functions of government should be performed at the lowest level possible, as long as they can be performed adequately. When they cannot, higher levels of government must intervene. This principle goes hand in hand with participation, the principle that all peoples have a right to participate in the economic, political, and cultural life of society, and in the decisions that affect their community. This starts with the family, the most important unit of society according to Catholic social teaching, and also forms the heart of the Catholic commitment to education and the development of the full person, spiritually, morally, intellectually, and socially. How does your party propose to ensure the continued right of Catholic education in Saskatchewan, for Catholics, or for those who choose it? And how will you strengthen education of the whole person for coming generations?
Well, another one of those 6 core values that I mentioned at the beginning of our Zoom is participatory democracy. And the other thing that the Greens believe in very, very strongly is freedom of religion, and everyone having the right to express who they are and what their beliefs are. That is one of our core values. And I believe so strongly in participatory democracy and grassroots participation that every single piece of what's on the internet, the flyers that the Greens put out from the minute I became leader on February 29th, not that long ago, was my phone number. My personal phone number, not some phone that I hand off to volunteers on a frequent basis. When you call the Saskatchewan Green Party, 1-306-561-8880, it's actually my phone. If I miss your call because I'm on another one, then I call you back. And people have been absolutely shocked when they call and they actually reach me directly. I believe so strongly that, of course, people need to be able to have parental rights. They need to be able to decide what they feel is best for their children and live their core values. The Greens don't believe in whipped votes, unlike other political parties. This is actually key and really, really important and confuses a lot of people. But while the Green Party has policy, unlike every other political party out there, if my MLAs disagree and wish to vote against what I put forward in the legislature, we allow that. So we are completely open to the idea that people can actually lobby every single Green MLA, and that those MLAs, if they are convinced of whatever lobbying group comes forward, if all those people vote against the leader of the Greens is not in charge. The people who make up the party are. I am just the voice of the party. So where other political parties, the leader sets policy, I am the voice of participatory democracy. So please feel welcome to reach out. I've taken 3 calls before our Zoom this morning.
Thank you. Option for the poor and vulnerable. In the words of Pope Francis, money must serve, not rule. This statement the service of people, especially the most vulnerable and economically fragile among us, and not for the sake of accumulating wealth. Catholics are called to remember Jesus' own words. What we do to the least among us, we do to him. And for too many Saskatchewan residents, a living wage and dignified work which supports a family are beyond reach. The result is that many are unjustly excluded from full participation in our society. What does your party propose to do to ensure a living and fair wage is available for all Saskatchewan's workers, to address the injustice of poverty in our province, and to ensure that our economy serves people rather than the other way around?
One of my main platform points this election is a guaranteed livable income. The left in Saskatchewan has been calling for a minimum wage of $15 per hour for so long that the minimum wage needs to be $22 an hour right now. Otherwise, you're still stringing together 2 or 3 part-time jobs just to make a go of it, especially if you have young children in the home. But the Greens have gone far beyond that. We are calling for a guaranteed livable income, similar to the CERB that we saw the federal government put out during the pandemic. However, unlike the CERB, where there were so many gaps and holes in it that people were still falling through, I call it Justin Trudeau's leaky boat. I actually felt sorry for the man. Every single day he had to stand up and apologize. I'm sorry, I seem to have forgotten on the CERB to include seniors, the most valuable members of our society. They've contributed their entire lives and they're not included in the CERB. Then the next day, I seem to have forgotten students. You know, the children that you're caring about who are going to university right now. We better put something in place for them. Then they had to announce that there needed to be special for small business, disability, pretty much everything that you could imagine. He had to stand up and apologize for forgetting in the CERB. I am instead wanting to bring in a guaranteed livable income. This would look after all members of our society with dignity. It would ensure that caregivers, those who are put in a position that I have been in, by the way, myself, my mother, when I was 24 years old, had to have surgery where all of her large intestine was taken out. And this was very, very difficult on my family. I moved home to care for her full time. And there is no wage available in Saskatchewan to help with that. So while trying to be a full-time caregiver, and I had 6 younger brothers and sisters, of course, my mother was unable to work, and I was trying to figure out how we were going to make an income through this. I did manage, but I just think, for people in that position, caregivers, stay-at-home parents, the elderly, people who are injured, having a guaranteed livable income that would provide for people with dignity. One of the things I dislike about our current social safety system is that it requires people to justify every month that they're still injured.
Rights and responsibilities. Catholic social teaching recognizes a wide range of rights inherently owed to every person in respect of their dignity as a child of God. A right to life, a right to live in a united family and in a moral environment conducive to growth. The right to share in the work which makes wise use of the earth's material resources. The right to food and drinkable water, to housing and personal security. The Church also teaches that human rights are indissolubly linked to human duties, underlining the contradiction inherent in affirming rights without acknowledging corresponding responsibilities. Those, therefore, who claim their own rights, yet altogether forget or neglect to carry out their respective duties, are people who build with one hand and destroy with the other. In this way, working towards the common good of all is a responsibility for each and every one of us, and every institution in Saskatchewan society. In that spirit, how does your party propose to encourage and enable the great breadth of civil society in Saskatchewan to employ their time, talents, and treasure in the service of the common good, and promote the full participation of every person in Saskatchewan society?
I had no idea that speaking to the Catholic Society election interview would literally be the forum that I would look forward to most the entire election. I absolutely believe in participatory democracy and social justice. Again, part of our core values. It's it's absolutely important that we reform the electoral system in Saskatchewan. Right now we have a Westminster system called First Past the Post. Most of the civilized world, most of Europe actually has employed a system of one vote equals one vote, a system called proportional representation. The great thing about proportional representation is that it means that your voice, the Catholic voice, definitely gets reflected. Right now, 35% of the population can end up electing and have 100% of the power. And it can actually happen that the majority of votes don't get reflected in who ends up as premier. Having a system of proportional representation encourages all parties to work together. I am absolutely dedicated to the idea of working across party lines. I actually have friends in the Liberal Party, NDP, and even the Sask Party, because you know what? There are good people everywhere. And we need to work in relationship with others to make sure that those at the lowest economic level, the most oppressed in our society, are represented in our government and feel like they have a direct link to the election process. Right now, one of the things that breaks my heart the most is those 40% of people that don't vote or tell me that politics mean nothing to them. It needs to be something that we all do together.